Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, Orcs Magic, and it's John here, and we have a very special episode in today's video, which is yes ladies and gentlemen, we were contacted by none other than the very special planeswalker himself, Young Mage, or also known as the Rhino. He challenged us to building a deck around one of the worst cards in Amonkhet. Now, basically, we got in touch. He wanted to challenge me to a deck building competition, and I wholeheartedly agreed because, you know, we like a challenge on this channel, so why not? So what he did, he put up a poll on his Twitter feed, and people voted for what they thought was the worst card out of a selection he picked. And the two that won was the Protection of the Hakima and the Gate to the Afterlife. He graciously took the Gate to the Hakima, and I took the Gate to the Afterlife. And at that point, I was immediately went, oh my god, what do I do with this card? It's an artifact that just gains you life, and you know, when creatures die, you can sort of cycle it. You know, it's not the best card. That's the reason why. But I saw it as a challenge and thought we'd take it on. We decided that we're going to do two deck techs for the challenge. One of them being a budget deck, which was $20, and the other one being free for all, whatever you would build. I've immediately broke the rules on the budget because my main deck alone comes to just under $19, and I was like, you know what, I can't not put a sideboard in the current meta. You know, if you were to take this in FNM, I'd want you guys to have the sideboard to deal with the current meta. So anyway, without further ado, let's jump straight into the budget deck. So this is black-white allies, or black-white get swole, and basically this revolves mainly around the interaction between Kalastria Healer, Cliffhaven Vampire, and Drana's Emmisary. The benefit with these is that basically, as allies enter the battlefield, they're going to trigger the healer. As you gain life, it triggers the Cliffhaven Vampire, which is causes your opponent to lose life. And basically, Drana's Emissary just gets you on the upkeep, gets you a life naturally anyway. From this, we then also run some Expedition Envoys, Ondu War Clerics, and Zulaport Chainmages. Now, the benefit with this is that the Expedition Envoy is a cheap creature. It's a cheap ally. This is a one drop. You can cast it, get multiple of them out in a turn for a couple of drain triggers. Very good. With the Vampire Envoy, every time it becomes tapped, you are gaining a life, and this works brilliantly in conjunction with Ondu War Cleric, which has the core ability which allows you to tap an untapped ally you control, and you gain 2 life. So effectively, if you tap the Vampire Envoy, you're going to gain 3 life. This, with the Cliffhaven Vampire out, you're going to cause them to drain, which is very sweet. Then moving on to some of the more bombish cards in the deck. We are running Bloodbond Vampire. Now, the benefit with this card is that anytime you gain life, you get to put a 1/1 counter on it. So effectively, the longer the game goes, this thing will get bigger and bigger. Again, it's also an ally, so it helps trigger the thing. And finally, the other bomb in the deck is Defiant Bloodlord. This is not an ally, but basically this is sort of a long-term control win condition. Every time you gain life, your opponent loses life. So this works in conjunction with the Drana's Emissary, the Healer, the Cliffhaven Vampire. You know, all these cards work in a very much a synergy engine. To go along with this, we have some removal. We have the cheapest black removal, which is Grasp of Darkness. Oh boy, I wish I could afford Fatal Push, but only having one seemed a bit pointless. So we then also have Dusk to Dawn. Benefit with this is that obviously it'll kill big creatures on all over the board, but later on in game, if we got a few healers in the bin, and we want them to do a big drain trigger, we can actually bring that and a load of other allies out of the bin onto the board simultaneously, causing a huge trigger effect, which would be good. And we then also run the Ondu Rising. Benefit with this card is that it gives us the all creatures get lifelink, so this can be a big hit. It can also stabilize sort of our life total if we've took quite a bit of damage. And final card is, of course, the build around card, which is Gate to the Afterlife. Just an artifact, gains us life. We're going to use it in conjunction with what's on the board and go from there. Now, moving on to the lands, we're running 4 off of Ally Encampment. This just helps us mana fix. We run 4 off of Forsaken Sanctuary, just a cheap tap land. Can't afford Concealed Courtyards because they're too expensive. We then run a couple of Evolving Wilds. This is just to help mana fix us for in case of those bad draws. And then we have 8 Swamps and 4 Plains. So that is it in a nutshell for the main board, and that comes to $18.64. Moving on to the sideboard. In the sideboard I put 4 Zulaport Cutthroat. This is to bring in because your opponent probably will bring in board wipes against you, so this is a great answer to it. It's also a great answer for when you are just adorning. There are 3 Bone Splinters. This is just another removal spell. Obviously you have to sack one of your creatures in response, but you know, if these things happen, you've got to deal with it. Dispossesses is for the Marvel deck matchup. Basically, you're going to get rid of all the Marvels that you can. We then run another couple of Dust to Dawn. The benefit of this is that it's going to help board wipe as well as bring stuff back to our board later in the game. We run a couple of Lost Legacy. This is just to remove combo pieces from certain decks. And then we run 2 Transgress the Minds for a control matchup. This is just to remove pesky counters and various other things, like such as the New Perspectives deck as well, getting rid of some of their things. Very useful. All in all, so with the sideboard added on, the total of the entire deck itself comes to $27.42, which is very, very sweet. I have to say, for a $30 deck for an FNM, this would be fantastic and definitely lots of fun to play. It has lots of trigger interactions you're going to have to keep an eye on, especially with the lots of life gains and the ally triggers and various things like that. So moving on to the non-budget side of things. Now, I obviously could have just upgraded the allies and put in Fatal Pushes and various things like that, but I thought, you know what, I wanted to do a different deck tech. I wanted to showcase what you can do with this. Now, because it is a bit of a dud sort of artifact, I thought, well, hang on, why don't we use it with Improvise, the mechanic for Kaladesh? So I've come up with 3 colour, blue, white and black. I can't tell you the name of the shard because I don't remember it. And basically what we do is we are improvising out a lot of creatures. We have some good hitters in there and some ones with evasion, which are fantastic, and then we go for ham. So to start off with, we are running, in terms of artifact creatures, we are running Augmenting Automaton, Chief of the Foundry, and Foundry Chief Inspector. Benefit with this is that these all synergize. They're all artifact creatures for 1. The Augmenting Automaton can swing early game for bits of damage, you know, by pumping itself up. It can trade up quite nicely. The Chief of the Foundry helps pump up all the other artifact creatures, which again we got a few of. And the Foundry Chief Inspector helps make artifacts cheaper to cost, so which means we can get Gate of the Afterlife out a bit quicker and we can start using it. Other creatures that we're running in the deck, we are running 2 off of Angel of Invention. This is just a martial anthem, help pump up. We also got a bit of lifelink off it, which is really sweet. We then also run Bastion Inventor and Herald of Anguish. Bastion Inventor is fantastic, especially if you can get it for as cheap as you can, because it's a hexproof creature, so it can't be targeted by the enemy. It has to be then removed. And Herald of Anguish is just fantastic against control matchups. It's going to force them to start discarding cards, which is what they don't want to do. It means they're going to have to spend more spells drawing cards. And we're running a full playset of them as well. We also are running Battle at the Bridge. Now, with this spell, we're obviously using it to remove big creatures off the board, because we don't want to be dealing with them. And we can use all our artifacts in response, which is very sweet. We also gain a lot of life off it, so it can actually help stabilize the board late game. We're also using 4 off of Fatal Push, and this just helps us deal with the early game and deal with lots of early creatures. And to help trigger the second ability on Fatal Push to remove a 4-drop, we have 4 Renegade Maps. Now, the benefit with this is that not only does it help us possibly colour fix if we are struggling, we can also use it to obviously trigger the Fatal Push. And the final spell that we are running is Invocation of Traft. Now, What the ideal scenario is for that card is that you want to be casting it onto the Bastion Inventor, because this way you are swinging with a hexproof creature who's then generating a 4/4 angel in the air. So effectively you are getting a lot of power swinging, which is fantastic. We then move on to the land of the deck, which is not cheap by any manner. So we have 4 Concealed Courtyard, 3 Choke Estuary and 3 Port Town. This is just for fast mana, all the dual lands. We have a 2-off Inventor's Fair. Because we are running a lot of artifacts, we might as well have the synergy to get more artifacts or just gaining the life on the upkeep. And then we have 2 Evolving Wilds that we're mana fixing, followed by with 3 Swamps, 3 Islands and 2 Plains. It is a very sort of non-budget deck. This deck itself comes to $103.23. Now, moving on to the sideboard, we are going to be running some Grasp of Darknesses just for extra removal for creature heavy decks. We run 2 Dispossesses. This is again to remove artifacts from deck matchups that we're going against, such as Marvel. We then have 4 Metallic Rebukes. This is a great counterspell for our deck because it effectively means that we can have a counterspell with 1 mana open. And then we have 2 off Negate, that's to do with pesky planeswalkers and various other things like that. And then we have 4 off of Walking Ballista. This is just for go-wide strategies and such as the tokens and various things like that. It also can be just a great card just to be pinging your opponent to death with. So that is my 2 deck picks for this Deck Builders Challenge. Please head over to Young Mage's channel. The link is in the description box below. And please leave a comment and let me know what you think of the 2 decks that I have built. Deck lists I will leave in the description box below. And I would like to say this has been Orcs Jordan doing a Deck Builders Challenge. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching the video. Please remember to hit that like button, it supports the channel for free. Also subscribe, and remember, if you don't want to miss any videos, hit the bell icon right next to the subscribe button. Thank you for watching again. Goodbye.